A group of men who discussed blowing up the Territorial Army Centre in Luton are appearing in court today. All four, aged between 21 and 31, were arrested in a series of anti-terror raids in the town last April. They're due to be sentenced tomorrow. Professor Anthony Glees is the director of the Centre for Security and Intelligence Studies at the University of Buckingham and joins me now. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
How unusual is this case?
Well, it's not that unusual, I'm afraid. I think it's important to realise that the number of people involved in terrorist offences is very, very small compared to the size of the Muslim population in the UK as a whole. However, it's a sad fact that there's been a 60% increase year on to September 2012 in the number of people arrested for terrorist offences and also the number of people charged. In this particular case, I think what's significant is that these men have pleaded guilty. That shows that our counter-terrorist police and our MI5 do know who is their target and how they should get them.
You say a 60% increase. Does that mean there are more people, there are more terrorists, or we're getting better at catching them?
Well, I think, unfortunately, it's that they're more terrorists. I understand you could argue about the interpretation of the statistics. The more you know about doesn't necessarily mean there's an increase. I understand that. But what seems to be happening, and it seems to have happened in this particular case, is that whereas before, let's say, the time of the 2005 bombings, groups of terrorists, Islamist terrorists, were controlled and educated in terrorism by people overseas in Afghanistan, in Pakistan. Now, they're organising themselves in small groups using the internet. So then Al-Qaeda has essentially been degraded, but its ideas live on in the internet, and people are able to download, as would appear to be in this case, download manuals, download all sorts of things which will tell them how to attack, in this case, an army base, significantly, of course, a territorial army base.
The background of this was ahead of the Olympics. Did that play a part in the arrest, that there was extra surveillance being carried out? Would we have caught them if that extra surveillance hadn't been taking place?
I think we would have caught them. I think we would have caught them because what we've had since February 2010 is a rather important new institution called the Counter-Terrorist Internet Referral Unit, or the CTIRU. Now, this is something that's been set up by Counter-Terrorist Command in the Met, and they monitor the internet. They monitor it for people who are downloading the Al-Qaeda training manual. They monitor it for people who are downloading this curious Al-Qaeda magazine called Inspire. And whilst it is the case, undoubtedly, that there were more arrests in the run-up to the London Olympics, that could also be because there was more evidence that people were downloading this stuff in the run-up to the London Olympics. And just the other day, a graduate in engineering who'd applied for a job working in the core of the Olympic organization was convicted of possession of an Al-Qaeda terrorist manual. So this is not a huge problem in terms of numbers, but you don't need many people to kill a lot of law-abiding citizens in this country.
How close are we to a successful terrorist attack? It seems that the police are doing a cracking job in that there has been nothing significant that's happened for quite a while. Is that going to continue?
Well, you never make predictions, especially not about the future,
yes,
as Mark Twain said. But I do think we can be proud of our counter-terrorist police. We can be proud of MI5. And increasingly, one would hope that people in Muslim communities would follow the mantra, if you suspect it, report it. If you suspect it, report it. But there are still people out there, there's still young people, usually graduates from universities, ready to be radicalized, who will not rest until they have plotted some kind of terrorist attack on people, particularly the brave people who are fighting for the values of this country in far-off places.
Can we draw anything from the fact that all of these gentlemen were from Luton?
Well, again, unfortunately, I think one can. It would be easy to say, no, you can't draw anything because you only know about the people you know about, and MI5 always say, to the number of people you know about, you can add the same number of people you don't know about. But Luton has become a problem area, and it's absolutely right that people look carefully at what's going on in Luton, and that we continue to develop ways of preventing otherwise decent people from accepting a perverted form of Islam and moving from what is a thoroughly peaceful religion into a political ideology that wants to blow us up.
Finally, Professor, what kind of sentence would we expect them to get today? Or tomorrow, I think it's the sentence being passed.
Well, that's very... I should have thought they could expect a lengthy sentence, that is to say, in the region of 10 years. But it may be less because these people are now marked people. And from now on, everything they look at on the internet will be carefully monitored.
Professor Anthony Gleeson, Director of the Centre for Security and Intelligence Studies at the University of Buckingham. Thank you very much indeed.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Ian Lee on